Welcome to Acts of Awakening, a series of heartfelt conversations about the roles that we play, the masks that we wear, and the archetypes we embody. Acts of Awakening is a play place to unpack the moments in life that call us to change roles and dissolve masks, individuating us into the next version of ourselves. Together, we will explore the perspective of the cosmic play, inspiring soulful insights and a deeper understanding of the journey of becoming. Host Suri Sawyer is a certified death doula, Reiki healer, yoga guide, ancestral medicine practitioner, and multidimensional psychic. As a walking transmission, equal parts cosmic mirror, soul whisperer, and multidimensional midwife, she embodies the energy of a lucid dream, soft yet activating, grounded yet infinite. Suri weaves shadow and light without fear. Her essence feels like plant medicine incarnate. Her presence initiates recalibration and an invitation into introspection, remembrance, and sacred revolution. Now here's your host, Suri Sawyer.
Good day, beautiful people, and welcome to the Acts of Awakening portal. Today, I am very thrilled to bring you one of my dearest friends, Shelby Smith, Shelby Dawn Smith. And I'm excited to bring her on as she represents an archetype that we haven't really spoken about yet. Obviously, she embodies many archetypes, but one that we'll talk about today is the sacred rebel. So I've got some information for you about the sacred rebel. And as you listen to the qualities of the sacred rebel, you're invited to observe yourself and say, do I have a sacred rebel? And what role does it play in my life? And what is the name of my sacred rebel? And please also feel free to hashtag live if you're watching, and it will bring more people on through this channel. So here we are with the sacred rebel. The rebel archetype embodies the spirit of defiance, independence, and a desire to challenge the status quo. It's one of my favorite parts of the rebel. It's constantly questioning authority, for better or worse. The rebel is courageous, innovative, and willing to question authority to bring about positive change. They often inspire progress by breaking free from limitations and encouraging others to think differently. The shadow of the sacred rebel. The rebel can become destructive and impulsive or rebellious for rebellion's sake, disregarding consequences or societal norms. This shadow manifests as chaos and resistance without purpose, or aggression and opposition that hampers the growth rather than promotes growth. The gift that the rebel brings to society. You can probably already surmise the gift that it brings. It's someone who thinks differently than the status quo. It's somebody who is willing to think outside the box. It's someone who is willing to take risks to challenge what already exists because there's a sensation within that things can be done differently, things can be done better, that there's an evolution at hand. And if we stick with the status quo, we may run the plane into the ground. But if we are able to turn and face the authority or the greater power and say, hey, that's not quite working out for me, let's try something different, which takes a lot of courage. So the rebel archetype is always going to bring forward for us a revolutionary kind of change in our existence. And so this is the rebel archetype. And today our guest, Shelby, is a great mirror and teacher of the essence of the rebel archetype. The rebel archetype. Okay, so here's a little bit about Shelby. Shelby Smith is a joy-slinger, a hug healer, and a soul-whispering wild woman who's here to remind you that life gets way better when you stop people-pleasing and start truth-speaking. She's a certified Theta and BARS energy wizard, a touch therapist with hugs that might melt your inner child wounds, a trained body language decoder, and a self-proclaimed empath who actually loves being one. A professional actress turned improv comedian turned sacred rebel. Shelby has performed on countless stages, written for books and blogs, and created juicy online programs to help people come home to themselves. After breaking up with religion and rewriting motherhood, and then falling madly in love with a woman, Shelby now lives full out and full color. She co-leads Dance Medicine, co-hosts the SoulKare podcast, and co-mentors magical humans from the mountains of Utah, where barefoot is the preferred dress code and giggling is the spiritual practice. Shelby lives for soul truth, deep play, and radical self-love, and maybe, on occasion, some cliff jumping. Warning, one hug from Shelby might make you cry, laugh, and remember who you are all at once. Let us bring on our delicious sacred rebel and joy-slinging wild woman, Shelby Smith.
Oh my gosh, that was so fun.
Isn't it fun to hear about yourself sometimes?
Kind of, yes. Okay, a lot. It was really
A
fun.
A lot.
I didn't remember writing that, so I don't. Did I send that to you? Because
You did.
Damn.
You did send that to me at some point. It's a good one. You sent me a couple of different ones, and there were longer ones and shorter ones, and I took one that was somewhere in the middle.
Okay, cool. We did good.
But I feel like any bio that starts with joy-slinger is going to be a good bio.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that encompasses a whole heck of a lot. We were playing before we got on saying, can you imagine slinging joy at people?
Shall we, for all those who are watching, shall we just, you want to sling a little bit?
Yeah, let's sling.
Okay. All right, you guys, we're throwing out joy. Breathe it in, catch it, whatever you need to do. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Good.
Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. It's nice to have you here. Shelby, I'd like to start this episode by reminding you of something that you said to me when we first met.
Ooh, okay.
So Shelby and I first met at a retreat that they were offering, and oh man, I fell madly in love with her and her partner, Cammie. Mm-hmm. And we were leaving this retreat, and Shelby looks at me and she goes, I feel like I'm becoming really intuitive. And I feel like something's on the horizon and my intuition is coming online and it's going to be getting stronger. And this was, I think, 10 years ago.
Oh, how cute.
This was something like 10 years ago. And I looked at you and I thought to myself, 1, it's already on, boo-boo. And 2, I can't wait to see where this opening of intuition takes you in your life. And then just now when I was reading your bio, the line that says, she's a self-proclaimed empath, and she loves being one.
Mm-hmm.
So from that first time that I met you until now, what has the journey of your intuition opening up been like?
First, I want to honor my cute little 40-year-old and her innocence. Just playing along and wanting to be and belong and play in the field of wonderment and intuition, not thinking that I had it. So I'm sending my 40-year-old so much love. You're so cute, Shelby. And then coming back to 50-year-old Shelby, who is menopausal, by the way. So this will come on and off and on and off during the show. The intuition journey of Shelby has been enlightening for sure. And realizing that my intuition isn't like everyone else's, that Shelby's intuition is different and beautiful and still intuition. At 40 years old, I was probably trying to have similar intuition as everybody else. So I'd watch people and go, how do they do it? Okay, I'll try to do it like them. And letting go of the desire to do it like everybody else and finding my own flavor. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love what you're bringing forward in the art, that everyone's intuition operates a little bit differently and it is very unique. And sometimes we can witness how other people's intuition works and which of the spiritual gifts are heightened in others, and then assume, oh, well, I don't see images, so maybe I'm not intuitive. Or I have some friends who have the clair olfactory, they smell and taste things. And sometimes I'm like, I must not be intuitive. I don't smell cinnamon right now, you know? And that comparison can really get in our way. So
Yeah.
I'm so curious. This is very true. It does. Rachel, it is very true. And it does. So Shelby, what have you realized or noticed about your unique way of experiencing and expressing your intuition?
So one of my unique ways, which I actually judged pretty harshly, was my ability to dream, the dream intuition. So when I dream, and this is another comparison, I would hear other people's dreams and they were so magical, and they had like sacred geometry and sacred symbols and even sacred people from history and gods and goddesses. And I'd be like, wow. Well, I sat on a toilet in mine and got flushed down it, and then woke up or realized I was in another toilet. And then like it just, my dreams were so weird and so Alice in Wonderlandy that I thought, these are just for my entertainment purposes only. These aren't intuition. And then someone who has been through the experience and been through the growth came to me and she goes, sweetheart, your intuition is talking to you in your language. And I'm like, what? In a way that you understand, in a funny way, because you are funny and you love to be funny and you love to be childish and you love to be childlike and you love to create from things that are in your space. Of course, you would dream about things that are in your space. Now, what do they mean to you? Play with that and see what your dreams are telling you. And that changed everything for me. My intuition came to me from me. It was my language.
In signs and symbols that you could understand and decipher, not something that somebody else could understand and decipher. For whatever reason, I'm really loving that you chose the example of sitting on the toilet and getting flushed down it. Sounds like a very interesting dream indeed.
I was going to I had a dream about sucking someone's toes on top of a train the other day too. And I'm like, I could bring that one up. I will. It's just when I wake up, I'm like, wow, that's a really interesting one. And I get to dive deep on the meaning of that one because there was no god or goddesses speaking to me in that one. I was sucking someone's toes.
On top of a train.
On top of a train.
Was the train moving? And do you have any insight on the communication of that dream?
So no, not yet. I write my dreams down and then I'll meditate on them when I have time. Haven't had time, but I'm very curious about what this one means too.
Yeah.
So it is entertaining. Yeah.
Well, keep me posted. I would love to know as anything evolves or comes forward. And for anyone who is watching, if you are aware of something that is an intuitive strength for you, we would love to hear about it. How do you connect to your own intuition, and how does your intuition work? There was another thing in your bio that really got me excited, and it was when you expressed, I'm a self-proclaimed empath and I actually like it. Which I thought was interesting because I have observed in my path in life that a lot of empaths, including myself at times, feel victimized by the empathic nature. This, oh no, like I can't go to that party because I'm too empathic and it's just going to bombard me. Or, oh, you know, relationships are really hard for me because I'm too empathic and I feel everything other people feel. It's hard for me to do this because I feel everything everyone else is feeling. I had been working for a little bit on some comedy sketches about being an empath, a disempowered empath that walks into the grocery store and she's looking for peanut butter, and she's in the peanut butter aisle, and this lady's standing next to her who's in like a lot of pain and grief. And the disempowered empath is like, I can't even pick my own peanut butter. Like, I gotta get out of here. And she has like a self-destructive meltdown, can't even handle the grocery store, turns around and runs. While the empowered empath walks in, you know, you're in the peanut butter aisle, you're exploring the different peanut butters. You can sense that the person next to you is in extreme grief. and you just say, oh, wow, like blessings to you. Like, may you journey well through this thing. Get your Skippy and get out of there, like.
Yes. Yes.
Jennifer Rose says, I love being an empath. It's helpful information and I feel connected to people. Thank you so much, Jennifer Rose. I am in agreement on that. Rachel says, I have dreams, visions, and can hear spirit. Also get songs a lot. Rachel, I get songs a lot too. They just pop into my head and start repeating. And I'm like, I think that line might be important for something. Tobin says, maybe odd, but birds for me and dreams. Tobin, there is nothing odd about birds being part of your intuition. Thank you for sharing that with us.
That's actually cool.
Right? And then Kim says, my intuition comes from dreams. Okay, we got another dreamer. Just feeling, I guess, and claircognizance. Yes, claircognizance and feeling. Sometimes I've observed with the claircognizance, it can be difficult to discern from your intuition and your thoughts. And that becomes like an art to start to work with.
Oh, wow.
And then Kelly Ann says, I can feel energy and I have dreams that are so real. And I am aware that it's a dream. Okay, so she is awake in her dreams.
Ooh.
And let's see. Okay, and hello from England. All right, that's how our guests receive their intuition, Shelbs. So back to you for a moment. Tell me about recognizing that you were empathic, and if you ever had a period of time where that empathy felt like something that was a reason to feel victimhood about, and how you became more empowered in your empathy.
So still learning about my empathy. There's different elements. Of course, we pick up on different things depending. I do study human design. So I'm going to say, depending on your human design, whether or not you have open centers or closed centers. So for me, I am discovering that my empathic gifts pick up on people's egos. Like I can pick up on more their stories than their feelings. So I've seen people who can feel what everybody's feeling. I can a little bit, but it's more of my perception. I'm watching them. I can read their body language. I can see their facial expressions. And sometimes I can feel it. But for the most part, when I'm in a room and I'm facilitating a class, what I pick up on is their cute little stories. The egoic stories of, why am I here? I should be leaving. This is boring. This is exciting. Maybe I should stand up and raise my hand. No, I'm too scared. Like those types of, and not even words, but that I do feel that. And then my ego fills in what it feels like, the statement that it feels like, my statement. So I pick up on egoic terms. So it feels like sometimes I cannot tell between my own stories and the stories that are coming in from other people. And so if I'm in a room full of people who are scared or feeling storied, I can feel a little bit overwhelmed. And their stories sound like mine, because the ego, a lot of the egoic stories sound very similar. They have a similar script.
Absolutely. Well, and something that's interesting is because in those belief system structures, and when we're in a room full of people, a lot of times we have cultural similarities. We may even, especially where you live, there's a lot of like religious or spiritual background that is similar. So there's a lot of programming that we've received that causes our foundational belief systems to really sound the same. And so when you're in a room full of people and everyone's stories are running, especially depending on their mood and their feeling, they might be running a story that you know because you've been there. And it's not something that you are running right now, but because of the familiarity, you're like, wait a second, is that me or is that you? Do I have to leave the room or do you have to leave the room?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And that can feel discouraging sometimes, because I want to be with people. I want to be out. I want to be facilitating. I want to be in my classroom and to have that feeling like, oh, am I in a place to figure out which one's mine and which one's yours, and deciding where my boundaries are and if I do have the capacity that day.
Yeah. Okay. Kelly Brickle has a great question. So this is a question from our guest and birthday girl, Kelly Brickle. She said, When do you have the aha moment when you know it's one of their stories versus one of your stories?
Mm, the aha moment. I think I'm playing back some memories, and I think it's that moment where you just have to sit with it for a second and go, am I actually in a space where that story would be accurate? And checking in, going, is this my story? Breathing into that. Um, Oftentimes I can feel a little bit of a difference in my body. It's difficult to explain, but it does feel a little bit outside of me if I really tune in. And then I can go, okay, this isn't my story. It's not locked in. It's not in here. It's just a little bit outside of me, and I'm tuning into it.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I would also imagine this happens for me sometimes where I actually have, it's not until I leave the room
Mm,
and like, because something will be running strong and then I leave the room and it totally drops. And I'm like, and then, go back in the room and there's, get out of the, and oh, okay, something's in the field in there. Every time I step inside of it, I step into that field.
that is actually really true. Sorry, I'm remembering now. I take a minute to go to the bathroom, and sometimes I go several times because I'm like, I don't know if this is mine. I got to go to the bathroom, and I'll go to the bathroom, and then it all clears away. And that's actually when we're going to bring the toilet back in. I'll sit on the toilet for a minute, and I'll be like, okay, it's gone. It's not mine. Beautiful. I've cleared out the vessel, cleared out all the other people's energies, and then I get something called a epiphany. I like to call it, because then I get truth in it. That's when I start downloading, and then I go, okay, now I can go back out, and I've got my clear connection again. When the epiphanies come in, I'm good.
When the epiphanies come in, just for the listeners and the viewers, you should know something about Shelby, and she's a master of words, not even intentionally or on purpose. But the time that I've known this woman, the amount of words that she's made up and or flipped over on their head brings me so much joy. And if we're lucky, she's going to have one of her verbiage slips today, or she's trying to say one word, but something else comes out of her mouth, and it's even better. I want to honor Kimmy. Kimmy says, knowing yourself is key as well as knowing your own stories. And I feel like, would you agree with that, Shelby, that when you know yourself, it's easier to differentiate between something that you're picking up in the collective field versus something that's originating from within you, which I guess is both.
Yeah, I actually do have a story journal where when I learn of my own narratives and scripts, I will write them. So I do get very familiar with it, but I'm still learning some of my own. I have a lot.
Me too. Me too. Thank you for sharing the journey of being empathic and the way that it shows up for you. And people are really loving the perfect story. It's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Epiphanies.
Epiphanies. So I would like to bring us into a field of thought. Because when I met you, to watch your transformation over time, it was one of the reasons that I was really thrilled to have you on the show, considering that it's about transformation and the individuation process. Things that happen in our lives that are so, once you walk through that portal, there is no turning around. You can't turn back on certain like windows of experience in your life. And then those windows of experience force you essentially to initiate, to individuate and become more of yourself. So when I met you, you were married, you were still in the LDS church, and a number of other things. I think you were still acting a lot then and doing stand-up comedy a lot then.
Probably, yeah.
And the version of you that I now know, you are, you've separated yourself from the religious practice. You have dissolved the marriage. You've redefined what motherhood looks like for you and what it requires of you and how to relate to motherhood differently. Not only did you leave a religious experience, but you left the religious experience and then did something so rebellious by becoming public with your beautiful relationship with a woman. And all of those, everything that you are now is almost in complete contradiction to everything that you were when I met you. And the story, like the journey of you going through that, I am so eager to hear what certain moments stood out as like, there's no turning back. Like when you realized this religion does not work for me, I cannot do this anymore.
Okay. So I'm gonna paint a little bit of contextual picture. We'll keep it short, but to take you back and paint the picture of where Shelby was. I had 6 kids. I homeschooled. I was married. I had a calling in the primary at the LDS church. I had a 5-acre farm with cows, chickens, horses, garden. I milked my own goats, and we even had our own hand pump well. Like I was prepared because I thought the end of the world. I'm preparing my family. We're going to homeschool. We're going to be good. And very dedicated to those ideals. And I did not have a life outside of that. That was my life. I canned every day. I taught my kids homeschool every day. I cleaned the house and gardened. That was my life. And I thought that's what I wanted. When I was little, that's totally what I wanted. So I had it all, I thought. Yet I was still not very happy. But I had it all, and I did all the good things. And one of my friends called me, and she says, Shelby, I'm going to Hawaii, and my husband is afraid to fly over the ocean because he doesn't want to create a way that our kids could be orphans. So he's not coming with me. Will you come with me? And I said, oh my gosh, that sounds like dreamy. I would love to go to Hawaii someday when I'm not being responsible and being a mom and being a Mormon and being a housekeeper. And she goes, have you ever been? I said, no. But someday. She goes, Shelby, what if you could go now? And I'm like, did you not hear me? I have so much to do. There's chickens to feed. There's kids to feed. Anyway, my family at the time encouraged me to go. They said, Mom, why don't you go? That'll be really cool for you. We'll be fine. So I said yes. So I went to Hawaii with my friend. And when we were in our condo, we had landed, we had settled. I didn't know what to do with myself. I started fixing people breakfast. I started cleaning bathrooms. I started making people's beds. And she's like, Shelby, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm just settling in and having a vacation. And she's like, there's people to do all of this stuff. Like, why are you doing it? And I said, sweetheart, I actually don't know what to do with myself on vacation. It's been that long. It took about 3 or 4 days, and I finally adjusted to the fact that I didn't have to do any of those things to prove myself, because that's what I've been doing my whole life. And she took me to the beach. She gave me a snorkel, and she goes, go out and play in the ocean and don't come back until you are full ready to come back. I spent 4 hours in my snorkel in the water, face down. And all of these memories of when Shelby used to be playful, and Shelby used to be free, and Shelby used to be her own authority, and Shelby used to be creative and imaginative and, again, playful. And so it was about 4 hours. I got back up, and that whole vacation was different. I went home different. It was really big. And I remember sitting on that beach and going, I miss me. I miss me. So that one was really, really big. At that point, I came home. My husband's like, did you miss me? And I'm like, to be honest, I've missed me, and things are going to change. And so that was the beginning of an evolution of Shelby learning how to love herself and to remember who this version of Shelby is, not the prove to the world version of Shelby, who authentically is Shelby. And to start remembering and rediscovering who Shelby is. And so I think it was probably about 8 years later where I had been at a retreat, self-development became my thing. I wanted to learn so much about me and why I function and how I function and what my personality is. I didn't even know. So at this retreat, my friend came up to my face and she asked me, you're still married. You're still in the church. You're still not totally happy. I see that you've done a ton of things, but when are you going to fully commit? And she actually swore at me. Can I swear? I'll tell you what she said. She looked me in the eyes and she said, when in the fuck are you actually going to choose yourself?
Mm.
And I went, but I have. I've been choosing myself in all these ways and actually getting in trouble for it. And being called to the bishop's office for choosing myself. Like, I'm choosing myself. And she says, you're still choosing parts of your old self. Because if you don't change something, you're still choosing it. And you're still in a place that you're struggling. You're still in a marriage. You're still in a religion you doubt. You're still. And I went, wow. I thought I was choosing me and I'm still struggling. And it's because I'm not stepping over the fence. I'm still sitting on it. Which, if you've ever sat on a fence, it literally is very painful.
It hurts. It leaves marks. It sure does. I really appreciate what you said with, if you're not changing it, then you are still choosing it. It's like a passive choice, but it still is a choice.
Yeah. Yep. And I was still choosing to stay there, but still, like, one foot was here and the other foot was going around trying to figure out who I am and why I'm here and what I'm doing. But the other foot was still in the marriage, still in the church, because there was still something in me that I felt like I needed to prove.
Mm-hmm.
Still something in me that I still felt like my whole family would be disappointed if I did anything different. So I'll stay here and I'll learn about me and I'll do it in secret. But the reality is those changes weren't in secret. People could see them and I could see them. I knew I was changing. And that moment when she looked me in the eyes and said, when are you really going to choose yourself? That was the moment. And I went home and it took about a week and I sat my, at the time, current husband down and said, we're done. It's time. I didn't realize how much abuse had happened in that relationship, how much disrespect. I do now, but I knew something was off and that I couldn't stay. I knew that. So I said, we're done. And that was in 2016 at the end. So it's been almost 10 years ago that I said, we're finished and complete. And I sold everything, moved into my own little apartment. I left the church. I burned my garments in a little ceremony. I love rituals.
Oh, rebel, you absolute rebel. Something that I would like to ask you about, and
Yeah.
kind of a broad question. So I'm going to say it and then I'll have you swish it around like a fine wine and see what comes out of you. So in this experience, when this transformation, it sounds like, was happening a lot on an internal level, and there were still parts of you that didn't want the changes to be seen from the outside. So there was a lot of internal processing happening.
Mhm.
And I'm curious if for you in this transformational time, if you ever feared your own changes and desires. Like, as a desire was coming up, if you're like, no, we can't have that. Like, that's a desire that's coming up, but like, I don't know if I can actually fully look at it yet, because what that means to the persona that I built on this farm with my 6 kids and the homeschooling, if I observe and start to fulfill this desire, it's going to destroy everything. Did you have any encounters with being afraid of your own evolution that was coming forward?
Yes, and still do.
Mm-hmm.
Still do. But at the time, my biggest fear, and it's interesting, my biggest fear was the fear of other people's opinions. We call it FOPO. And Shelby now realizes it's not actually FOPO, it's FOMU, fear of my own opinion. So I think my biggest fear, based on my core wound and knowledge that I have now about that, but looking back, I probably was afraid of my own guilt, guilty of doing the wrong thing, fear of doing the wrong thing, fear of, am I on the right path, questioning myself. Was that the question you asked? I feel like I just went on a little swishy tangent with that wine. I think it drunk me up.
That was kind of the intention of the way that I gave you the information, because I was like, okay, I was like, energetically, I'm going to send you a concept and we're going to see what it strikes inside of you. And then energetically, you're going to send me something back.
So that's what came out of me.
Beautiful. So I have feared interchanges within me, and sometimes I still do. And it sounds like what you were sharing was like a lot of the root of the fear of the changes is fear of other people's perceptions and opinions, which if you really dig down underneath it, it's your own, but they can both exist simultaneously. And I'm so curious, for those listening and watching, if you can relate to this at all. Have you ever been afraid to step into a desire or a new version of yourself for fear that it would disappoint another, or fear of the judgment that you might receive if you stepped into yourself? Or if you're doing it wrong, let us know. We're going to sling some joy at all of you around. If you've got any, what did you call it? Faux poo? There's a lot of bathroom talk on this show today.
FOMO, fear of my own opinion. Yes.
I really like your dictionary. Your dictionary is very good. And Evelyn says, oh, this is to Tammy, but thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Wowza. Wowza. So something that I find to be really beautiful about the evolution that you've taken in your life was a kind of physical reclamation, and a reclamation and innocence brought back to this thing called sexuality. You and I both had upbringings in the LDS faith, or the Mormon faith, which I can speak for myself and say that deeply impacted my relationship to my body and sexuality and pleasure. And as funny as it is, even though it was like, pure, right? Like the sexuality perspective was like, stay pure. It somehow stole the purity from sexuality and the innocence that it really is. So I would love to hear from you what your journey has been like to reclaim your own pleasure and to reclaim a relationship with the pleasure centers of your body, and to bring innocence, play, and joy back into sexuality when, from the time that you were young, that's not how it was presented to you.
Yeah, actually, when I was younger, I think it was around 5 years old, I had a friend spend the night, and she taught me something. She taught me oral sex. I didn't know what that was, but she taught me something that felt good. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this feels so cool. Like, does everybody know how to do this? This is pretty cool. Maybe everybody ought to try this. And she would say, make sure your door's shut and don't tell your mom and dad. And so then my core wound, guilt, starts to set in. I go, oh, so this is not okay. Even though it feels good, we can't tell people. So then when I got older and found out that there's this thing called queerness or homosexuality, I thought, oh no, I can't be that. I liked it with another girl. So I've got to prove to the world that I am not gay, and I will put naked men posters all over my room, and I will play with as many boys as possible before I get married. And that was my concept of Shelby's sexuality. So I had fun. I didn't ever have penetrative sex before I got married because there was still that running religious piece. So I played in every other way that I possibly could and had so much fun. And I'm like, okay, see, I'm pretty normal. I'm totally not gay, totally straight. Just prove to myself and the world that I'm good. So in my marriage, we got pregnant pretty quickly, and that sexuality, that curiosity, that playfulness went completely out the window. I got to the point where I really got bugged by it, and I didn't want it, and I thought it was a waste of time. And why does everybody love this now? Especially moms who have everybody touching them all day long. And then here comes husband who likes to thrust himself into me and pull me into the bedroom 5 times a day. It's just not fun. I don't want to have it anymore. And it keeps making babies. I only wanted 2 and I have 6. We got to stop.
Mhm.
So lost any idea or desire as to what. I didn't even think about sexuality during most of my marriage. It wasn't of interest to me. Nothing came up except for when my husband at the time and my kids all discovered pornography. And then I had a lot of judgment around this sin. Fast forward to now. I don't believe there's anything wrong with pornography. I think there's different elements to it, but sin is actually, to me, what means without. The root word is without. It means without you or without God. That's actually what sin means to me. So if I'm practicing something and I leave myself, or I'm practicing something and I leave connection with God, then I'm just without. And you can call it a sin if you want to, but it's not the same definition. I've looked back and realized that my kids weren't sinning. They were, in the religious terms, they were leaving themselves. And so I got to look at, how am I leaving myself in regards to my sexuality? And it did wake up a little bit, but I also was embarrassed and ashamed. But it woke up when I met my partner, Cammie, and we were best friends. And I had things happening in my body, and I'm like, whoa, well, it's still alive in there. That's good. So she's just here to show me that it's still alive so that I can bring it back home to my husband and we can reignite this flame. But I still had no interest. And then I realized I had stuffed it down, and that it is still alive. And what do I want to do with it? What do I want to discover about it? What do I want to learn about it? And read some amazing books. There's like the Pussy Reclamation book and Come As You Are book. Like, there's so many books that brought awareness to how my body functions. I didn't know I had 8,000 nerve endings down there. And that my pleasure is a direct portal to my divinity. I didn't know any of those things. And still feeling really grateful for that time in my life where Cammie showed up very timely. Everything's perfect. And it reignited what was in my body. And I did feel ashamed for a while until I divorced and was able to freely, in my own permission, freely discover and explore. And realize, oh my gosh, I can have love and sexual feelings towards a woman too. This is okay.
I'm so sorry. My cat has decided that this is the moment he's going to tear things off the wall.
We said pussy, and here he came.
He heard the call. Thank you so much for sharing. And yes, it's that concept of like, something inside is emerging and showing you something, and then you're like, wait, not that.
No,
like, I can't have those feelings. That's terrifying. This new feeling that I'm noticing has it's threatening my ego structure.
Mm-hmm. And I just made the excuse that, oh, she's just here to show me that it's there so that I can channel it in the right direction that's approved of.
Thank you for sharing. And those are great books. And yes, women do have how many nerve endings down there?
8,000.
8,000 nerve endings. It's an electrical portal to the heavens. And I also, just for anyone who is interested in discovering their own pleasure, their own body, and reconnecting, will you mention the books that helped you again?
The exact title, I know, Come As You Are. I remember that one. And Pussy, A Reclamation. I don't know the authors. There's another one that I can send you. You can send to your group, but I don't remember the title. I just remember it's red. And it's got like satin on the front.
Fabulous. And I'd like to do a book in there because Woman's Anatomy of Arousal.
That's it.
That's that one. Oh, that's transcendent. And it's not just for women. Men can read it too and learn a lot about female anatomy and become even better lovers. Because a well-orgasmed woman is a happy woman.
I know, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much for that exploration. I wanted to go back because I had put in the I had said to people, I'd asked people if they resonated with being afraid to change, even though there was something emerging because they were afraid of other people's opinions or to disappoint people. And Kimmy said, for sure, mine's the fear of losing connections with those that I love because of judgments. And then I told them we would sling joy at them. You want to sling joy at Kimmy? Kimmy, may you walk on your path with beauty and grace, darling, and step into yourself so beautifully. And in the event that you lose connections because you're becoming more of yourself, always trust that someone more aligned will come in that location.
And that it's okay to grieve. You will experience grief because you're losing something that you've had and known and familiar. So grief is going to come along, but we'll celebrate all of it.
We'll celebrate all of it. Tobin says, can definitely relate and appreciate Shelby's transparency on the topic and that she still feels it sometimes. Tobin, ready, joy-slinger?
I'm ready.
For you, Tobin. And then Evelyn says, religion has a great way to kill great sexual relationships and with self and others from my observation. Evelyn, it is interesting. And it's not just religion. Jennifer Rose and I had a conversation a while back that a lot of the westernized society, even if it's not religious, is still based in Christian practices. And so whether or not you are religious, you're still going to have that impact because it happens culturally. And then there's this funny polarization of either deeply repressing the sexual nature or over-sexualizing everything. And neither one of those extremes is necessarily the place you want to stand for the greatest wellness, but there's a woo way. There's something in the middle to play with. That's super funny. I just saw what I did and heard what I said, and that was a great moment. All right, moving on. There's something in the middle for you to play with.
Bingo, you nailed it.
I'm growing. Kelly Brickle says feminine empowerment. And some people are talking about Italy. Yes. Okay. It's a journey every day. Yes, I already have experienced that grief, but eventually feel the resolve. I'm so glad, Kimmy, that you are starting to feel the resolve. Too funny when the cats come to call. It is funny when the cats come to call. You guys haven't been able to see it, but for some reason, they're both just sitting right here. And actually, it's not for some reason. Shelby is one of my cat's aunts. And when she comes, she brings them snacks. And so I have a sneaking suspicion that they know she's here somehow.
They do. They do. I can feel them too. Hi, babies.
They're like, is Aunt Shelby around?
I miss you.
Yes. Simply soul empowerment, I should say, says Kelly Brickle. Beautiful. Beautiful. I had another question for you that I think it's one of the most interesting things that you have a certification in. Oh. So everybody listen up. This woman has a certification to legally snuggle you.
I know, right?
And one of the funniest things I think it's funny that like we live in a world where if you are doing a healing that involves some holding, that it's illegal. So you have to go get a certification. So can you tell us a little bit about becoming a certified snuggler?
Oh, hell yes. You guys, this is something that we've discovered in our journey and our experiences is that people cannot survive or be in a healthy space without some sort of touch. So babies in a nursery, when they're first born and they're put into an orphanage and there's too many, so they put a bottle and a blanket and they don't touch them, those babies get very sick or die. We need touch. And there's a lot of people who believe that I can only be touched by my lover. I can only be touched or by my mom once in a while. I mean, I'm okay with that. Or someone that I love and I'm close to. And the reality is, from what I understand, is we all need human connection through touch. And we don't know how to find it. And so that's where we go places where we take it instead of, and take it without consent or find other ways that are more unhealthy to get the touch because we're desperate for it. So in our, Cami and I are partners and we work together as well. In our work, we needed to be able to legally touch people because we could see that they needed it. They were in chronic pain and chronic illness, and we weren't allowed to touch them. We'd have to sit far away. We'd have discussions. We'd give them experiences, but we could both feel so strongly that if I could just reach out and hold this person, it would change everything. Mm-hmm. So we said, what do we need to do? What needs to be done? So we actually became ministers first because the laying on of hands was legal. But then
why isn't that in your bio? I'd like to see it as joy-slinging minister.
My life just changed.
I'm a joy-slinging minister with the power of laying on hands. Okay, forgive me. Proceed.
I pronounce thee man and wife, or wife and wife, or husband and husband, joy-slinging. Oh, I really like that. Yes, I'm also a minister. That allowed us to put our hands and maybe hug, but then the holding piece still was a little bit questionable to the place we worked at. So we did some more research and realized, oh my gosh, there is a way we could get certified in holding people. Mm-hmm. What is it going to take? And we went online and we got the certification, realizing that a lot of us already know how to hold someone. If we've had a baby, we know how to do that. But a lot of people do appreciate if you're certified, especially in the medical field. So we did it. And I will tell you, one of my favorite clients walked in, burly man, muscles, tattoos, beard, bald head. And he's like, I hear you guys cuddle. And we're like, yeah, we do. Yeah, we're professional because we're certified by the world. And he goes, that sounds like kibosh shit to me. And we said, cool. Do you want to try it? So we actually worked with him for a little bit, got him to soften up. And we said, if we put on some music and we just do it for 2 minutes, would you just try it? And he goes, well, I'm here to heal. We'll try it, see what happens. We held this man to 2 minutes of music. And at the end of 2 minutes, he was sobbing, not just crying, sobbing, wailing. And he laid there for another 2 minutes to let the tears fall. And we both just wrapped him up. And at the end of that session, he goes, I had no idea that would do to me what it did. I had no idea that I needed this so badly. And he goes, I want everyone to try it. Everyone needs to be held at one point. There is something about the heart-to-heart complete surrender in someone's arms where it's non-sexual, it's completely safe. Music in the background, and you're just being held, being seen, being touched non-sexually. In that moment, when we're in our vulnerable space, in our tender space, we just appreciate that nurturing space. And it has been, and no words. It doesn't need to be talked out. You don't need to talk about anything or unpack anything. It's just the act. Mm-hmm. We all long for that more than we even know. And we've had people say that really looks weird. I don't think it's going to work. And once they're in the arms of where they feel safe, every time they get up and go, I did not expect that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's such a beautiful awareness and such a beautiful modality of healing for the human nature, for the physical body, like the human touch and the physical touch, what it does for your nervous system and just the capacity to co-regulate with another human. Mm-hmm. That first initial retreat about 10 years ago that I did with you and Cami, still, when I look back at all of us at that time and, you know, how much we've evolved over 10 years, but even in that retreat, you guys were doing skin to skin contact, heart to heart healings. Mm-hmm. And I remember having this experience of like, oh my God, are we really going to do that? And also this innate understanding of, well, that just makes sense. It makes sense that duh, you guys, like, what have we been doing in the world here? Like not hugging each other enough, not getting that physical touch, especially when it's non-sexual and you don't want anything from them. I think sometimes there's this concept of like, oh, if you hold me, then that's going to mean something, and then I owe you something, or these different things. But when it's just like, no, it's just holding. And that freedom and that liberation and the way that it opens up calms the body and opens the heart and can start to move things that may have been stuck in there for so long.
Yes. And you don't have to talk about it. It's just available. That's skin to skin, like we do with babies. Babies who are skin to skin when they're preemies have a higher chance of living. Why? Because it's such good stuff. And our culture has shamed it and said, no, you don't do that. They made fun of it. There was a cuddlist on America's Got Talent, and they were making fun of her the whole time. She was demonstrating all these cuddle positions, and I just got to watch and witness and go, wow, all the judges are making fun of her, but they have no idea. They have no idea how good it can be.
All those judges seriously need to be snuggled.
They do. Come on, let's go.
We had a really beautiful message from Evelyn that I'd like to read really quick. I think you might have some cool stuff for her. I'm wanting to change into a new chapter of my life. I want more joy. I want to paint, enjoy nature, and more. I don't have to work so hard with my volunteer work. And before that, she had said, I am ready to change. So, Evelyn, ready to change, desiring more joy. How's is that amazing? That made me cry. So, if you had any, if there's any musings that come from your being for Evelyn or anyone who's watching that's sensing, oh, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to step more into a more joyful version of myself. Also, a version of myself that can more readily and better access my pleasure. And it doesn't have to just be physical pleasure, right? It can, well, sexual pleasure, but the pleasure of taste, the pleasure of touch, the pleasure of sight, the pleasure of a feeling, the pleasure of the company of another person. What comes to your heart and mind that you'd like to share to encourage that change in existence?
So something I just shared with a client yesterday was she was actually wanting a big change in her life. And what was stopping her was the mindset that says, I need to have everything aligned. I need to have my bank account secure. I need to have plenty of money. I need to make sure I'm educated so that when I do leave the situation I'm in, I'm all good. And so she's sitting in the situation that is extremely draining, extremely tiring, extremely unhealthy and toxic, waiting to make sure everything's aligned so that she can leave. And what I encouraged her to do yesterday is take a breath and say, what if the way the universe works is it wants to see you choose you first? You get to choose you first. And then it's like, she's here, guys. She's showing up. And then everything starts to fall into place. For me, that was exactly what happened. I chose to let go of all of the things I thought needed to be lined up before I could actually leave the situation. I chose myself first. And it was mind-blowing how everything just lined up. I got to experience the universe's abundance because I chose me. So my invitation is figuring out what it is you need and offering yourself the providing of that need. We're in charge of our needs. Let's provide for ourselves. It doesn't mean you can't ask for a holding outside of you, but you're in charge of asking. Start checking in with your needs. Start taking care of you. Start putting you first. It's not selfish. It's selfness. It's the biggest.
There's a Shelby word.
It's the biggest gift you can give to the world, taking care of you and discovering and finding and getting curious about what you love and what lights you up. There's a lot of people who actually thrive and Like for generators, if I'm not doing what lights me up, I'm not doing well. My health declines. My energy is drained. I find what I love and I do more of it, and I choose myself and trust that things will align. And like I wrote some of the things down that happened after I chose myself, and I wouldn't have been able to plan that. It was better than I had planned, better than I had imagined. So following that, what's my next step? What's my next step? Take it. Trust that you've got you no matter what. No more FOMO. We're done
No
with
more
that.
FOMO.
I don't want to be
More
fear.
epiphanies.
And just follow that. Follow that heart of yours and do more art. Do like whatever it is being called, do it. Listen and act and bring yourself joy. Tap into your joy. I can sling it all sorts of your ways, but if you don't have it in you, you do. But if you don't have the courage to bring your own joy up, then you're not going to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to have something in your teeth.
Pleasure, period. Yes. And so what I'm really hearing is that to start to create the change that you want to see in your own life, it's so important to learn how to choose yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I also really resonate with you that a lot of times it's very difficult to choose ourselves because we've been programmed to believe that choosing ourselves is selfish. Oh, I can't go get a massage. That's selfish. Oh, I can't say no to this volunteer opportunity to paint because that would be selfish.
Yeah.
But there's this delicate balance, and it like you must choose yourself a significant portion of the time to create any kind of health and wellness in the environment of your own psyche that you live in.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much. Those are very beautiful and inspiring words.
Yeah, and to add to that real quick, when you choose you, that doesn't mean that you're avoiding everyone else. When you choose you and you're in tune with you, you know the precise moment to go and serve. You know the precise moment when you're being called to assist someone. Instead of where I was, I just gave of myself freely all the time, and however many things and people I could help and support, and exhausted of the day didn't matter. I didn't listen to me and take care of me first. So I was tired and I was resentful. So when I choose me, it's a gift. I want to reiterate, it's the biggest gift we can give the world, because our intuition and our inspirations are fine-tuned for what's aligned for me.
Thank you so much. And Shelby, we can find you if anyone is interested in working with Shelby and her partner through pleasure, through change, through snuggles. You can find them at shelbyandcami.com.
Yes.
And if you're on Instagram, Shelby is Yin Yang Shelby. Yin Yang Shelby. So you can find her there as well. And I do have to say that on Instagram and Facebook, Shelby and her partner make these radical videos where they just talk about things so honestly, and they're beautiful topics, these little nuggets of delight and pleasure, and so much laughter. I feel like every video that they put out, it's also a little bit of a mini comedy sketch. So I highly recommend following them so that you guys can get to witness the beauty that they bring forward on a regular basis. Thank you so much for being here, Shelby.
Thank you, Suri Love. I love you so much. And thank you all for your attention, because it's worth a lot. So thank you.
It is worth a lot. And then for those of you who are listening, if you are interested in practicing devotion, meditation, and collective group healing, starting September 3rd, we're opening up the Sacred Wave Meditation Experiment. And you can learn all about that on womanbealive.com under the Sacred Wave. There's some videos and content on there about the meditations that we'll be doing, as well as the collective group healing. So if you've been looking for a container in which you can practice your devotion, your accountability, and get a consistent meditation practice going, if you don't already have one, this is the perfect container for that. And if you're already an experienced meditator, even cooler, because you can take your personalized and individual practice and contribute that energy into a group healing experience where we get to experiment with how powerful we are as a collective group of people coming together to focus our magical medicine with one another toward the greater good of humanity. So it would be lovely to see you there. And to all of you, have a beautiful night. Thanks for your attention. Peace be with your souls.